This is Hannibal here from the HannibalTV.com, and today on the Great North Wrestling Podcast, I'm going to do a quick audio interview with Billy Jack Haynes, former WWE and WCW Superstar, and he's actually going to be appearing at Wrestlecon 2020 in Tampa, Florida, April the 2nd and 3rd at George Steinbrenner Field. He's going to be at the Hannibal TV table the first year. We have a table at WrestleCon. Billy Jack Haynes, one of my most well-received shoot interviews, is going to be representing us there. How are you doing today, sir?
Hi, Hannibal. I'm doing fantastic, and I am so honored that you have chosen me to be at your booth at WrestleCon 2020 in Tampa in April. Really looking forward to it, and I thank you, sir.
And if his health holds up and he's able to make it, from what I understand, you're also going to be bringing in your old rival, Rip Oliver, to be at the table as well.
Yes, Hannibal. Rip just had a real close death experience. Got COPD and congestive heart failure, and I'm here just outside of Tampa right now with him. He helped break me into business, and he's just like a full brother to me, even though we're not blood brothers. I just love him like one, and he pulled out of it. A lot of prayers were sent to him. Thanks to you were one of them, and many others on the internet, and he did pull through. He's home now out of ICU on oxygen 24 hours, but if that's okay with you, if he's on oxygen, he would love to be there. And I pray to God that he can hold on till April.
I hope so, too. He sounds like a fighter. Obviously, to be in the ring with you as many times as he was, he has to be pretty tough.
Yeah, well, I would say the same about you, too. I've watched your matches, and we both believe in believability. And we always went out of the way to, we weren't too loose, we were tight, Rip and I I've watched your matches, that's where you were, and that's why I really, really respect you, Hannibal, and Rip Oliver. You've taken some hellacious bumps now. I've watched a lot of your matches. You are an unbelievably believable worker.
I understand that Rip Oliver actually had an incident in WWE with the Ultimate Warrior you were telling me about. That he actually got hurt in the ring?
Yes, I don't know the date of it, but it was in 1987. He was clotheslined from the rear. He didn't call it or anything. He just clotheslined him and fractured one of the vertebrae in the back of Rip's neck. And he had to have surgery. He almost had to retire, but as tough as he is, he came back again, and that's one of the times, Ultimate Warrior was pushed real hard. But as far as he worked stiff, but too stiff, a little bit too stiff.
I guess the Ultimate Warrior, he would have been coming in around the same time you were leaving, so I guess you probably didn't have quite as much interaction with him.
No, I had a lot of interaction with him. In fact, I knew him inside and outside the ring.
Do you have anything to say to the fans listening to this that probably watched your shoot interview? And you said you read a lot of the comments that people made.
Yeah, Hannibal, actually, I think the shoot interview that I did with you was a pure shoot, but it was real down to earth and warm for me. Since we met in November in Philly there,
yeah.
I was suicidal. I was extremely suicidal. And I was actually going to take my life again. I attempted in 2012. And I had a nervous breakdown. And I didn't go to the hospital. And I relapsed. And I've been clean now almost a week, and talking to you makes me feel a lot better. I tried to save my life 2012, and a young man I raised since 7 years old, had committed suicide. He's like a son to me. He took his life with an overdose of methadone, and it just hit me really hard. And when I came home, I had a relapse, after our interview. I had been clean for about 3 months, and I was so upset that I did that. I took around, I think it was 15 called Dilaudid. I don't know if you've heard of Dilaudid.
No.
It's extremely strong, and I woke up 2 days later.
A pain medication?
Yes, sir. Yeah, pain medication, and I'm now. I've been clean for, this is my 5th day today. I'm just praying to God that I can pull through it, Hannibal, because my addiction was so bad that it was bad. But since you came into my life, to be honest with you, you've made me feel more of a man, as being like I lost all reality there for a while. I really thank you a lot, Hannibal. You're just a great man, and you're the best thing pro wrestling has out there right now. And I'm honored to be talking to you and be at your booth at Wrestlecon in 2020 in Tampa.
Now you're staying with Rip Oliver, from what I understand. Have you been attending any wrestling events in the Tampa area, or you're just keeping it low and just taking care of Rip while you're there?
I'm just taking it low and taking care of Rip. Rip's brother is also here, and so there's 3 people here, Rip, Terry, and myself. So we got a good eye on Rip, excuse me, and I think he's going to pull through, but no, I'm laying low. I'm here, honestly, just to, I love this man dearly. Rip Oliver helped me break into business in pro wrestling in 82, 83 with actually Dr. D. David Schultz was there also. I never said that before, because he's one of my favorites, Dr. D. I didn't mention that.
One guy I never asked you about, he was in the news today. I guess AEW is bringing him in as a manager of Cody Rhodes, is Arn Anderson. I know that you actually feuded with Arn and Ole Anderson at one point. What did you think of the Andersons?
Both extremely great workers. I had the privilege to work with both Ole and Arn at Starrcade 85, and I believe it was December of 85. That's when the pay issue, I think, came up. But both, Ole is kind of like you and I. He's a tough man. Arn's not near as tough, but he's a great worker. I never had a problem with either one of them. I just didn't want Wahoo to do the job, and they ended up having Wahoo doing the job. I wanted to do it, but it never came out that way.
And another thing I forgot to ask you about was the angle that you did with Demolition in WWE, where they beat up, I guess, Brady Boone, who was playing the role of your cousin. How did you like working with Demolition? I'm really glad you brought that up. Excuse me again, Hannibal. I'm really glad you brought that up, because there's been a few questions as whether I really overdosed on the plane in October of 87 when I returned after I opened up my gym. And you talked to either Demolition or Ken Patera. I think they were all on the plane. Dino Bravo helped, and Rick Rude and Brady Boone were there. They're deceased, but helped me. Dino, who was beating me to death in the chest to make sure my heart was pumping, saved my life until we hit the ground in North Carolina on an emergency landing. But Demolition were great to work with. Bill Eady, the Mass Superstar, and of course everybody that come out of Minnesota there. I mean, from you name it, 6, 7, 8 Road Warriors, and go on and on and on. Brady, Rick Rude, Henning, Nord. I mean, so many. The Road Warriors, all of them. I don't really have too much bad to say about anybody, but I will be truthful if I don't. Kevin Sullivan, I'm actually interviewing him in a couple weeks here on January the 9th down in LA. Is there any question I should ask Kevin about you?
No, I first worked with Kevin in 1984 down in Florida Championship Wrestling. And Kevin came up with the gimmick as a kind of like a devil worshiper gimmick.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, I liked it. I liked the gimmick. Just a wrestling gimmick. I don't think he's a double worker for himself, like people think.
He worked it really well because a lot of people definitely believe it.
Yeah, I've seen some of the comments that they. That's what you do when you put it over really good. Like, when you play your gimmick and stuff, you put it over so good. Kevin was my manager.
But I think you saw what I commented. I had never actually seen Black Blood. But when I saw Black Blood, that was a great character. It's really too bad what happened there. You could have been a huge, huge star with that. But they gave you a terrible finish. No wonder you blew out your knee.
It's Hannibal. I came up with that finish.
Oh, okay. Because I was watching it and I'm like, you're 280 pounds jumping on your knees every night.
Yeah. Kevin Sullivan, it was a great time because Kevin Sullivan was my manager, and he had also a one-man gang. And we just have, the one-man gang is such a damn nice guy. And he come up their hand. You probably seen some of the matches, like, what do you call it when you get your hands tied where you can't move?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
the straight jacket.
Anyway, yeah, the straight jacket. And then the last match I had, I got that screwed. It wasn't the Philadelphia Spectrum. It was the Philadelphia Civic Arena, I think. That's CTE for you. But I came off the top rope for that finish, and I tore my kneecap almost around the back of my leg. I stood up, and it felt like a hot water faucet went on, and Sullivan knew I was. And I mean, I don't know how I even got out of there, but Sullivan was a great guy about it. Because you got to come out of character, and Kevin did. Some guys can't come out of the character. They're like Hulk Hogan plays it all the time. You got to come out of the character, or you got trouble.
Bret Hart
too.
Great guy. Bret Hart was another guy that never came out of the character.
Yeah, I know, man. I don't know, Bret was a great worker and everything. He made that comment I told you about in his book about the pair of pliers. It's a bunch of bullshit, but.
Oh yeah, well, you never said that on the interview, did you? Did you say that on the interview? He actually alleged, we'll clear that up now, that you were taking pliers and bending your ears with pliers to get cauliflower ears, and you say that's just pure bullshit.
I got a cauliflower right ear, but I mean just one.
I guess I couldn't tell with your haircut.
Yeah. Oh, you mean the Three Stooges, right? I've seen a lot of comments about that. The whole thing. It is my real hair. My mother was Indian, and more Indian than anything, and had a full head of hair at birth, and I was blessed with that. I am trying to find out my biological father, but my blind father, who raised me, for everybody listening, I loved him more than any man ever on earth. Went blind with juvenile diabetes, lost his foot, and that was one of my huge anger issues growing up, along with being molested, as I said in the video. But that man was great. But that's just, Bret Hart was full of shit when he said that, about that. I never, in fact, I'll tell you a quick story about that. In Regina, I think it was every Sunday, Monday, I forgot what day it was. I was only there a month, I think. But I wrestled in Regina, and I found out about the sleeping pills and the pills everybody took. On the way back, there's a guy named Wakamatsu who drove the van. And luckily it was in the summertime when I was there in August, hotter. And anyway, everybody else about an hour after the matches would be passed out on Xanax or, Valium or whatever they took. Klonopin, whatever it was. And Wakamatsu would drive, and he'd start to fall asleep about 100 miles in. So I would take over about 3 or 4 times that I was there. And I drove us home. When we got into Calgary, 500 miles, about 6 or 7 in the morning, I didn't even know where to stop. And I had to pull over where the cars were parked for the boys. And it was quite comical. But using a pair of pliers, Brad, that's kind of a cheap shot, But I love Brad. I love that family.
Did Brett even ride in the van? I don't know if he did or not, but he doesn't seem like the type that might not even ride in the van with the wrestlers.
That's been what 30. It's going on 38 years ago. So, I think he did. I know Wayne and all of his brothers that were wrestling. Ross and Wayne and Bruce ran it. He was in the van. Maybe he drove himself, but I know one time I know he was in the van. But a pair of pliers, I'd like to take a pair of pliers and squeeze the head of his prick off when I think about it. To be honest with you, but that was a nasty thing to say.
And speak of that, that's pretty funny. I'm sure there's a lot of women that would like to do that to him too, because he's been known as quite the player over the years. But in the interview, you brought up that Bruce Hart was dating the young girl when you were there. I actually heard through Smith's son, that young girl, her name is Andrea. She actually passed away. It hasn't gone out public yet, but Smith, who's also dead now, his son told me that Bruce's wife passed away.
Sorry to first of all hear that she passed away, Hannibal. I didn't know, of course. I did meet Andrea. She was a very nice young lady. When I thought it was his daughter, to be honest with you, when I met her. And when I found out they were going to get married, I guess he was his grade school teacher. So, of course, Bruce, I never got close to. And I had a match with him on TV in Calgary once, and I just didn't care for it. And Duke Myers is really the only reason I went down there on it.
And one thing, Billy, that we talked about in the interview, I did put it up on the screen, but you do have a Twitter. It's BJH Wrestling. For any of the fans that want to follow you on there, that's your only official Twitter account. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Hannibal. I think it was started last year. I haven't been too active in it due to actually going on and off, relapsing on medication. So I'm battling with that again, and I wasn't asked, and I didn't volunteer it in the shoot interview, but that's really what's happening. And talking to you makes me feel a lot better, to be honest with you, because you're the son that, like my son, I love you like a son. I do,
Well, and I do know, even though that you're still involved in the legal situation, you do have some access to the WWE people for help with that, don't you, if you really need it?
Yeah, I have thought about doing it so many times because I need it really bad. I know it costs a lot of money. I can't afford it at this time anyway.
It's free for you. It's free for anyone that's worked for WWE.
It's just that to get a hold of WWE for help, and then suing them for $1 billion, it doesn't sound too good. Even though I know Vince probably has nothing to do with that. The addiction part with the wrestlers, he certainly does. But I don't know. It's a tough call. You kind of understand, don't you? Between a rock and a hard spot.
I understand, but if you get to that point, I would take it for their help if I were you. It doesn't matter if you're suing them or not. They still have to pay for the rehab, so you're still getting back at them in a way.
I know Scott Hall has used it about 10 or 20 times, I was told anyway.
Scott Hall and Sonny have the records, but Danny Spivey used it, and he actually works with them now in that program. Yeah, he was a success, and now he actually has a job in the program as well.
Well, I'm really proud to hear about that with Danny Spivey, man. He's a tough stand-up guy, man. I was there when he pounded the shit out of Adrian Adonis. And,
yeah.
It was Adonis's fault, and he sure finished it. And, wow, he kicked his ass.
Yeah, that's what the reports say, but I know you gotta go, and I gotta go off to the gym. So I really appreciate that you did this podcast with me and followed up on some things in the shoot interview. With if anyone listening hasn't seen it, it's up free now, in full on the Hannibal TV. I hope you have a great 2020. I hope things continue to turn around for you, and that things get better for Rip. And is there anything you'd like to say to the fans out there to close this interview off?
Yeah, Hannibal, I'm honored that you have chose me to be at your booth. I think you said for the first time, Hannibal TV in Tampa at Wrestlecon in April 2020. Happy New Year to you. And the best thing that's happened to me, you came along at the right time, because I needed a tough character in my life, because that's all I've been, and I really have never really looked for help. And you put me in a very positive light, and I'm just honored that I met you, and will continue to want to work with you in any aspect, include hopefully autobiography, anything. I think the world of you, and Canada as well. And God bless the fans, and Happy New Year to everybody in Canada and all over the world. God bless.